This is Adam King from Aliens Don't Ring Doorbells, and you're listening to Madness to Creation.
Go ahead, say it.
Welcome to the Madness to Creation podcast. This is Maddie. How are you? I'm Madness to Creation. This is where self-care and music merge. And I want to also point you to the Don's Hit List. You can find the Don's Hit List on Spotify, SoundCloud, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Madness to Creation, along with Fab Radio International. Tonight, we bring you an awesome interview with Elijah Noll of American Teeth. Elijah Noll collaborates alongside producer Colin Britton, who has produced amazing groups such as All Time Low, A Day to Remember, One O'Clock, and Papa Roach. And he is originally from Portland, Maine, but he is currently based in Los Angeles, California. And he has released a handful of singles across various digital streaming platforms such as Apple and Spotify. And his music has tallied over 1 million streams. And also, Elijah of American Teeth was recently named one of Alternative Press's 100 Artists You Need to Know. In this podcast, we talk about his collaboration with Twin XL, with Dreamers, for Still Not Dead and Barred Out, for both of those singles. And you can check them out on Spotify and Apple. And also, American Teeth has released One of Those Days via Spotify, Apple, and other various digital streaming platforms. And I'm anticipating American Teeth to be making major moves coming up. In fact, Elijah has one of the most unique visions I've ever heard while interviewing somebody. He wants to be kind of like a mogul in terms of his genre of music. He wants to go into fashion. He wants to be a game changer. And we get into inside of his head and talk about his mentality behind that. And also what he learned from Twin XL, coping with the COVID-19 pandemic and mental health. And here at Madness Creation, we practice self-care and mental health along with enjoying music. And right now, I just want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with Elijah Noll. Take it away, Elijah. Yeah, so how are you doing? How is everything going on given COVID-19 and all that?
Overall, it's pretty good, but definitely today is like a kind of a gloomy day. And are you in LA?
I wish I was in LA. I am in a lot more rural area known as Iowa. So.
Oh yeah. I've been in Iowa. So you're used to the gloom.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
I was gonna complain about the 3 days of rain and gloom that we have right now, because I'm very affected. I feel like my mood is very affected by the weather, and I'm feeling it today.
Yeah, well, there is science that proves that the more rainy it is outside and stuff, the more gray it is outside. I think it's because we need that vitamin. Is it vitamin D that the sun gives us?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of have something to do with that. So, do you tend to write your music more when you're in kind of a doom and gloom state, or do you write your music when you're happy, or does it depend on the mood?
It totally depends. My music definitely reflects my mood, because I always aim to write from a authentic, genuine place. So, sometimes it's very sad and gloomy, and sometimes, I just had a nice run of kind of finding a lot of excitement, within a pretty chaotic world that we're all in, which I really, channeled into the last batch of songs that I was writing for American Teeth. So there is a nice little batch that just recently was created that is just very celebratory and exciting, which I see as being very fitting for being an optimist, a near future feeling that everyone will connect to.
Absolutely. Do you consider yourself more of an optimist or a pessimist?
Definitely an optimist. And I know some of my music sounds pretty dreary, but I think to cope with some of the darker feelings that I'll feel, I cope with it in a way where I kind of flood myself with optimism and light and stuff, and then it seems to help. So I think that's kind of my way, you know.
Absolutely. And what do you kind of do to kind of help yourself with the optimism? Like, do you like work out? Do you like smoke a blunt? What do you do?
Both. Yeah. No, I depending on the day, it'll one or the other. But also, I'm kind of like I'm a sucker for the self-help books and podcasts, and I attribute a lot of that to kind of helping me maintain some sense of sanity and optimism.
Yeah, absolutely. So, is there like a certain podcast that you've subscribed to that you want to plug real quick, like that you listen to on a regular basis?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I actually just recently got into a couple new ones. One of them is On Purpose with Jay Shetty.
Hmm.
Heard of that one? The other one is
I haven't actually.
I just found out about it. It's pretty great. The other one is 10% Happier with Dan Harris.
Nice. And what do you like about those podcasts?
I'm trying to just overall be a better version of myself lately. I think this quarantine and a lot of time alone has started to, or it's allowed me the time to self-reflect. I think a lot of people are doing the same and wanting to better myself so that when I'm back out in the world, I'm just operating on a higher level.
Hmm. Yeah, kind of one of the things I do. I've been since quarantine and that we're just kind of talking about that. First of all, Madness Creation, we combine actually music and we combine like kind of the mental health and self care, suicide prevention, stuff like that. And I kind of look at it as like those '90s books, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and I kind of look at that in terms of like music and stuff like that. And first of all, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And kind of one of the things that I've kind of worked on is just basically, especially like with like the civil unrest that went on like with after George Floyd and all that. It's just practicing that self compassion and that acceptance, and that basically that I need to evaluate myself every day in order to maintain that healthy inner dialogue. And is that something that you try to convey in your music as well?
Definitely. Yeah, I realized that as my fan base is growing and I'm spending a lot more time communicating with them kind of one-on-one and as a group, I'm realizing that I'm in a position where I can lend my knowledge to other people who are at a different stage in their growth, personal growth, whatever, where maybe I've gone through some of the stuff they've gone through already, so I could lend some opinions. I'm not a psychologist by any means, but more I would, I hope to inspire people to love themselves, take care of themselves, pay close attention to their mental health so that they can be the best versions of themselves.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. Is just whatever we do in life is that we try to be the best version of ourselves. And what do you feel like you take enough time for like activities that mentally stimulate you to kind of help with your songwriting process, or?
That's something I'm working on. I'm I tend to get really sucked into the day-to-day grind, and there's a lot of there's a lot of pleasure that can be had from that, and kind of chasing these little milestones, and just the excitement of creating new art and creating new songs. And it's easy to forget to give yourself some time to rest. That's another thing I've been learning about myself is I need to give myself a little more time to absorb life, so that I have more fuel to create.
Yeah, absolutely. And that I think that's such an important thing for all of us to do, whatever profession that we are in, is that I'm a school teacher by day. I teach special
Oh,
needs
cool.
kids for a living, and I naturally I own this website as well. I lead a very busy schedule. And
Yeah.
and kind of the big thing for me is I need to organize my time. That way I can actually practice the self-care that I talk about and stuff. And like one of the things I love doing is I love getting away and just taking photography, and like just whether it's nature, just practicing my camera. Obviously I miss the concerts and getting to shoot concerts and stuff, but
Yeah.
what are some things that you like to do, like when you don't feel like writing, when you need to take that mental health day?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned photography, because I also love to take photos. I've been taking my little Minolta point and shoot film camera from the 90s around with me a lot, and trying to capture kind of just day-to-day stuff. And I'm aiming to take a little more, to really like schedule some time out for me to just be like, okay, go out on a drive, park somewhere you've never been in Los Angeles or wherever I am, and walk around and just see what grabs your eye and just start taking photos. So that's definitely one thing. I had a little stint with skateboarding where I was really inspired to get better at skateboarding, and so I did that for about a month, and then rolled my ankle a little bit and took some time off, and then I haven't really gone back since. But that was a nice little passion project. I also just bought a bunch of acrylic paint and canvas paper and various other art materials, craft materials, and I've been inspired to do some painting and some visual art, which is very new to me, which has been really fun. It's been a fun way to like channel my creativity in a different way. And I also have started messing with like, customizing clothing. So for instance, I took some pants that like forest green Levi pants that I hadn't worn in a while, and cut them into shorts, and took figured out on YouTube how I could hand stitch or hand embroider, and bought a little embroidery kit and embroidered some stuff on the shorts, and made a pocket out of the bottom of the pants, and just doing things like that. I'm like painting the back of clothing and making little paintings on thrifted clothes and stuff like that. So I'm working on stuff like that too.
Absolutely. Like when American Teeth makes it, and I'm saying when because I absolutely love the Barred Out single. Like I've been jamming it like pretty much all day at work and stuff. And
Oh, thank you, man.
absolutely. And what I noticed about the music is basically what you described. There is a sense of art in the music. Like obviously I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect when I first listened to American Teeth. I expected like, okay, it's a band from Fearless Records. I'm gonna expect something heavy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I saw Twin XL was on there, so I'm like, okay, this is gonna be different. And anyways, long story short, like I really noticed the art behind your music. And when you make it, just kind of an interesting question: do you plan on venturing out to be like the Jay-Z of the rock world or the art rock world, like where you have like your own clothing line and all that stuff?
Yes, sir. I'm already working on the clothing line. I love fashion and stuff. So yeah, I definitely foresee that. I love that you picked up on that too, because that's definitely part of the vision.
Yeah, and I don't know why I picked up on the vision. It was just as I was talking to you and stuff, it was just like I'm like, there's a certain art behind this, and I kind of want to talk about the single a little bit,
Yeah.
and it has over 20,000 hits, and I also want you to talk about a couple of the YouTube comments. Sometimes I read the YouTube comments to the people I interview, and
Yeah.
kind of how did you get hooked up with Twin XL, and what was the inspiration behind the song, and what is so challenging about creating music in the studio?
Yeah. So first of all, I got connected with Cameron from Twin XL through writing songs for other artists. We've written a decent amount of songs for other people, including one of our frequent co-writers, Little Hurt, or Colin Deedon, who used to be with the Mowgli's. We've written a bunch of stuff with him, and that's kind of how I got introduced to Cameron. And then met the rest of the guys in Twin XL as well, who are also great. But we basically, I wanted to get Cameron in to write for American Teeth because we gel so well already. And it was one of those things where, we were writing the song, and a lot of times while we're writing the song, we'll just, as we're going, cut demo vocals, section by section. And Cameron had an idea for the pre-chorus, which he's singing on the record, and he went up to the mic and sang it. And both myself and Colin Britton, the producer, were both like, damn, dude, like that actually, we might just have to keep you on this if you're down, because you just like totally crushed that take. And it just sounded really, I don't even think I tried to record that section because it just felt right. And we were like, I mean, if you're down to be featured on this, it just feels natural. So, and he was, so it was a very natural, organic kind of way that came about. So yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like if you didn't, like on the YouTube video, if you didn't put featuring Twin XL, I would just think it was like American Teeth as a whole, because that's how well I felt you meshed with Twin XL on there. And so is it kind of, I'm not sure if you've had like features with other artists or anything like that, but is that kind of what you look for when you have a feature, or like when you feature on your music, or vice versa?
Yeah, I don't. That was definitely like by happenstance. So that wasn't so much a thing where we were seeking out a feature. But I do, anticipate both being featured on other artists and bands' records, and then having more features as well. But yeah, that one was very natural the way that happened. But I actually just featured on a song with my friends Dreamers, and then West Period, who's another friend who I've co-written with and stuff like that. I just think that it's really fun to kind of collaborate with people that way, outside of just writing, but actually, performing on the same record together. And especially this past year, and even probably most of this year, not being able to go on tour with other artists, to be able to put music out with them and kind of reach each other's fans and cross-pollinate that way, I think is really one of the treasures that came out of this pandemic situation for music.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've noticed that more artists are collaborating, as you said, and all that. And you're, if you want to plug this real quick, you are featured in the song "Still Not Dead" with Dreamers. And according to the presser, it says the song is a celebration of life and a tribute to someone tragically gone too soon. Can you take us into that feature, and what was your favorite memory?
Yeah. So that session was, I guess it was, I think, so Kobe Bryant died,
Oh man,
yeah, a year from yesterday, right?
yeah, I'm still
So,
broken over that. I'm not gonna lie.
dude, that was so sad.
Yeah,
And that day was the day we wrote Still Not Dead. It was myself, Nick from Dreamers, and my collaborator, Colin Britton. And it was in the air that day in general, just the sadness, I think around the world, but definitely in LA too. And Nick had just gotten back the night before from his hometown in Seattle, and one of his best friends that he grew up with had committed suicide, and he had just come back from his funeral. So not only had Nick had that experience very fresh on his mind, but then there was the Kobe thing, and we were all feeling that in the air. So it was, I was nearly like ready to say that I just didn't have the energy to write a song that day, because sometimes if it's that emotional, it either is like, for me, it's either like if it's that emotional, it spills out, or I just, have a hard time writing. But most of the time it ends up being the spilling out and just like having, using that to create. And so anyways, we both had that feeling and very quickly decided that that was going to be what we needed to write about that day. I also, so when it came around to my kind of verse, the second verse, I started thinking like, okay, well, what is my experience with death? And one of the most, prominent things in my life was that I lost my dad to cancer when I was 12. So,
sorry to hear that.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely something I've talked about it a couple times in my songs, and Too Late, I bring it up as well, but it felt like kind of the right place to talk about that again. And then we got Wes on the track as well, and he did a verse, and he kind of lent his perspective on his experience with death. And on top of that, we didn't want it to just be a very sad song just about death. So it's like, I think I brought some of my optimistic energy as well, like taking the experience that we all, have felt when dealing with death, and trying to use it as a way to like be grateful that we're all still here and we have each other, and that we're all still on this planet, and that we have the opportunity to continue enjoying life to the best of our abilities. So that's kind of, we wanted the overall aftertaste to be about that.
Yeah, kind of like providing that light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you sharing those stories and stuff like that, and it just kind of we brought up kind of a couple heavy topics in there, and in terms of like suicide prevention and all that, have you like in your music, have you had like fans like message you or like come up to you like after a show before COVID, obviously, and say, you know what, this song, what you said in these lyrics helped get me through, so thank you for that. Have you had fans come up to you and say that?
Totally. And that is, that feels so good to know that I'm helping to heal other people in some way. It's, that's one of my favorite parts of making music, is not only connecting with all kinds of people from around the world that I might not normally be able to connect with, but when people tell me that something I've created is helping them cope with something, or helping them get through something, or even just be distracted for a moment from their own kind of racing thoughts, that's everything to me.
Oh, I agree 100%. It's almost, you almost can't put a price tag on it, you know.
No, not at all.
And kind of one question I had for you, I kind of long story short, I'm actually working on a book for Madness to Creation, and it's
Oh,
basically,
cool.
yeah, it's basically going to be called Lights in the Dark, and or Lighthouses in the Darkest Distances, and it's like how we overcome. And basically, what I'm gonna do is combine, like, I have a couple friends that are therapists. They're gonna write a couple pieces in there, and I'm also gonna have like little artist bios and just like where artists talk about like how they rose up when times got tough and all that stuff. Just kind of as a self-help, self-care type of book, and that would appeal to the music lover. And proceeds are going to go to National Suicide Prevention Foundation. And I was just kind of curious what one question I had for you is, what is the soundtrack to your life? Like, can you point to like a band, an artist, album, or a genre or a song that helped get you through?
I'm a big 1975 fan, so definitely a lot of their catalog has been really helpful for me. And I don't know, I'm not sure if that shows in my music or not, but I definitely listen to them a lot and have for a while. I also, on a completely flip side, really like Bob Marley. He's one of my favorite
Oh
kind of
man.
all-time artists, and that music to me is very, like, if I need to just listen to something that's calming and kind of meditative, um, that has been my go-to a lot in the past. Um, and in a similar way, I've started to discover kind of like indie house music, which gives me that same kind of feeling, like, Jamie XX and those type of kind of chill house beats and stuff like that, because it is very like meditative to me.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of house music, this is just kind of a completely random question. And I figure with you being from Los Angeles and stuff like that, there is a festival in Belgium. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head. I just literally thought of this question now. Shaquille O'Neal plays like house music in there. Have you heard it?
I've heard of Shaquille O'Neal being a DJ at a club somewhere, but I didn't know that's where it was.
Yeah, he actually had like obviously he was a headline, it was a festival, but he actually played some house music. So I was wondering if you like that kind of house music too, or is it just like the ambiance kind, or I don't know the house genre, so forgive me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I've definitely opened up to kind of like more of the electronic house sound in general. It's definitely a more recent thing, like as of this year, like even some like jungle house stuff. I'll just, if I hear a song in a playlist, or I'll just like make a radio station on Spotify based off of that song, and see what pops up. And I've been discovering stuff that way, which has been pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of through the muck of the pandemic that we're in. That's just kind of the beauty that I found, is just discovering new music or revisiting some music to get those nostalgic vibes.
Totally.
And so just kind of another question I had for you in regards to the book. Tell me, naturally you talked about your father passing away to cancer, and the song with Dreamers. And just tell us about a time when you rose to the occasion when the situation called for it.
Like a dark time where I was forced to rise to the occasion.
It could be a dark time, or it could be a time where or it could be just something as simple as like, I don't feel like doing anything today. My depression's getting to be too much, or anything like that, or you know.
Yeah. Honestly, learning to, I told you I have a hard time kind of slowing down sometimes. And this past year, like over the summer, I definitely had some real low points where I was feeling like extremely depressed. And instead of going for my usual distract myself as much as possible from the underlying depression, and just flood myself with work or distraction, I chose to actually just turn my phone off and lay in bed for 3 days, which I don't know if that's the best advice for everybody, but it's what I needed at that time, which I was, in the past, I had been, really reluctant to actually just give myself. And I found that by doing that, I was able to give myself the rest and take a lot of the pressure that I was putting on myself off, which helped me get through that and come out on the other end with a much better mindset. So this year, that was definitely a lesson learned that I actually took action with, and I feel like that was really helpful for me.
We're so glad that you got through that, and we're so glad that you rose to the occasion. And sometimes, as you said, it just takes taking that time off that we need. And I really think in our consumerism society that it really stresses us to be on the go and just go, go, go all the time, and sometimes we just need to slow down. And that's what this pandemic has taught me. So, and
Yeah.
absolutely. So I'm excited to hear more from American Teeth and what's next for the band. Like you said earlier that you have some songs that you're working on and stuff.
Yeah, we've got a lot of new music that is pretty much ready to go, and we're gonna be getting another batch of songs together pretty soon as well. But it's looking like we're slated to do an album at some point this summer. So,
and yeah, hopefully by this summer. Do you have any working titles for the album or anything like that, or is that under wraps?
I don't yet.
Okay. I hope by this summer we'll be able to see you live, and you'll be able to play shows and stuff. How awesome are concerts going to be when concerts come back?
Dude, oh man, that is my favorite shit ever. I will say, like, I love writing music and recording, but ultimately performing and entertaining is what gives me the most life, which has been part of what has been really hard about this year. And I think that's probably true for a lot of performers and artists. But there's nothing that beats the feeling of connecting with your fans in person and, playing music for people. And it's the first time they've ever heard that song, and you're playing for them live in person. So they haven't even heard the recorded version yet. So then they get to go back and listen to that, and that's a whole nother experience. But yeah, being able to do that and afterwards go out and meet them face to face and connect with people is it's going to be crazy. And I think the energy in the air for everybody is just going to feel really exciting. And, we've spent all this time being, denied that experience. So I can only imagine it's going to be pretty insane.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of tears. I think there's going to be a lot of joy. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement in the air. And Elijah, is there anything else that you would like to plug or that you'd like to talk about in terms of American Teeth, or anything that you want to plug or anything like that?
I mean, I guess if anybody wants to follow me on social media, I'd say the easiest way is to just type American Teeth into your search browser. But because I have like multiple different handles because all of the dentist associations have taken just at American Teeth, and I can't get it back. I can't take it over for some reason. But American Teeth Official on Instagram, and then there's various other variations. But if you type American Teeth in, go and follow me, and you can DM me, and we can talk, and you can listen to the music, and yeah, that's my only thing. That's my only plug.
Awesome, Elijah. And I was going to say, you just earned another follower because I just followed you on Instagram. So
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Elijah, this was so much fun. I would love to follow up with you when the album is ready to be released and stuff. So,
Yeah, that'd be great. Nice talking to you, man.
yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much for talking to us about mental health and everything for Madness Creation. And go pick up the single "Barred Out." Not pick it up, but listen to it on Spotify and stuff. Give him some streams. So he'll appreciate
Yes.
it. All right. Thanks again, Elijah.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. Take
Bye.
care.